Hiya, my name's Johnny for those of you who don't know me. Those of you who do are probably more used to watching my videos on car restorations, clock restorations, woodwork projects and anything else I can think of. This is something completely different. This is to do with property. I want to talk today about a property that I own, and I have owned for nearly 18 years. It's a 2-bedroom split level flat in Chigwell. In that time that I've owned it, I've been lucky enough to have only had 2 tenants throughout that period. The last tenant had been there for about 15 years. A very good tenant, as was the previous one to that. And it was all going quite well. Until recently, the fixed period on my mortgage ended. I last fixed it for 5 years and fixed it for, and I've got my notes here, it was fixed at 2.79%. When that ended, the rate went on to the variable rate of then, which was at the time 6.09%. To put that into figures, I was paying £318 mortgage, and then it jumped up to £846, just like that. So I got back on the phone to my financial advisor and said, what can you find me as a fixed rate? I need something good. I'm going to decide to keep the property. And the best that she could come up with was 6.79%. That's something like 960 quid a month. I just wasn't going to be able to do that. The rates had gone up so much that it was now no longer financially viable for me to keep this. So I had a thought, and I thought, you know what, the place needs a lot of work as well doing on it. And so I decided, let's just get rid of it. I've had it for a long time. Get rid of it, pay capital gains tax, have a few quid left over. Anyway, whatever. I put it up for sale, and at the same time gave my tenant notice and said, look, you got 2 months. I'm putting it up for sale. It doesn't mean to say that I'm going to sell it, but I'm giving you a minimum of 2 months. And until I find a buyer, you could kind of stay here if you want, but I'm letting you know if you find a place, move out, whatever. I try to give him best options too. I weren't turfing him out. And I did find a buyer, and it was a cash buyer. They were buying the place for $275,000. I was asking $280. Well, we agreed finally at $275. Thought brilliant. Cash buyer, they're not worried about what the interest rates are doing. Verified as well by the estate agent. They've seen the money in their account come from an inheritance. So great news. So I was letting the sale run. But whatever, it's not easy with the British conveyancing system anyway. Things are always very difficult. But yeah, the buyers were dragging their feet, and I had suspicions that something was going to go wrong. But nevertheless, it carried on until the point when I got a text message of all things from my estate agent telling me my buyer had bolted. So I'd lost my buyer, but at the same time, by then the tenant had also gone. So I'm now left with this empty flat, and now 2 months forward, the rates have gone up even more so, and the variable rate that I'm on is £1,020 a month at 7.29%, is it 7.29%? 7.34% I'm paying, and I'm paying £1,020 a month. Plus I've got service charge of £150 a month. And to top it all off, council tax, 230 quid a month. So you know what, I'm in for like almost 1,500 quid a month while this place is sitting empty. Now, I could put it back up for sale in the hope that I find a buyer who will go all the way through to completion. But while that's happening, I'm laying out £1,500 a month. And what if another sailor bolts? I thought, that's sod it. So I decided I'm going to try and keep it then. Now that it's empty, I could refurbish it, make it look a lot nicer than what it is. It hasn't been decorated since the 80s. It needs a kitchen, it needs bathrooms, it needs flooring throughout, complete painting everywhere, possibly some Artex ceilings that are going to need plastering, a lot of work. And then there's like about £15,000 worth of work in that place, and that's with me doing it. That's me not paying a tradesman. That's me spending £15,000 on bits to make the flat nice. But having said that, I could get really good rent for that, 50% more than what I was getting from my previous tenant. It was basically living in a dive for not a lot of money, if you like, which actually was a lot of money in real terms, but in the world of renting, it was cheap. So speaking to my financial advisor and asking her, what can I do? What's on offer? What's my best option here? There wasn't any option. I was really faced with paying just under £1,000 a month mortgage on this place, and I'd have to cover for the service. I would have broke even, which isn't a terrible thing, but then when something goes wrong in the flat, then it's starting to cost me. And don't forget, as landlords, we're being taxed on our turnover, not our profit. I don't know any other business out there which gets taxed on its turnover, not its profit. That's ridiculous. So even if I broke even, if I paid £1,000 mortgage and I got £1,000 rent, I still have to pay tax on the £1,000. They don't care that you haven't earned a penny on it. It's another one of these rules which is designed to get rid of landlords. They're killing us. So I kind of resigned myself to the fact that I've got to get rid of it, and decided to call an auctioneers. So I called a company called Deadman Gray, booked them in to come in to have a look at the place and let me know what I might get for it. As I say, my last offer from the agent was 275. Now I know I'm not going to get that from auction, even though one in the block had sold for 310,000 last year. Be a good day if I could get that 275, but I kind of sort of resigned myself to I'm going to end up having to sell this for about 250, which is going to be a big hit. All this was stressing me out. Decided that particular day to call it a day. I don't want to think about it no more. Just go and watch something on Netflix and try and forget about it, but that wasn't working. Next morning I woke up and decided to go onto Facebook and look at one of the landlord groups that I'm on. And I typed in my sort of dilemma, put a little post up, and wow, people were coming up from everywhere, giving me suggestions, giving me ideas what you could do. And amongst a lot of really good ideas and suggestions, someone said to me, have you checked with your lender today? Because they redo their rates once a month. And he says, I believe that B&M Solutions have dropped their rate to 5% for fixed. Oh no, you're joking. So I called my financial advisor. I said to her, someone said this, I don't know how true it is. Is it true? She says, yes, it is true. She goes, they've just dropped it now to, in fact, 4.95%, fixed for 5 years. I've got to take that. That works out to just less than £700 a month. More than I've ever paid mortgage on that property, but yet it gives me a lot of room, especially for what I will rent it out for. So I decided to lock that in, and I've started the process of that. Then rang up the auctioneer, told him not to bother coming. I'm now going to refurbish the place. Which brings me to another thing, EPCs. So as of 2025, the law will be that if a property is less than a C rating, you cannot let it out. You could get fined up to £30,000 if you rent out a property below a C. The flat is an E rating. I've got 2 steps to jump, and they're huge steps. You know, the government couldn't just decide, all right, we'll go from anything that might be an E to a D or a D to a C, but to make such a jump, because so many of these rental properties are C rated, And I was talking to the EPC guy. He told me, you're not the only one with this dilemma. Now, this flat is in a block of 24. And when I checked the EPC register, every single one of them is as E rated. So I'm wondering, there's only so much I can do. According to the energy assessor, when he did the EPC on the property some while back, he said, well, I've got no way of knowing what insulation you've got in your roof because it's a flat roof. So therefore, I've got to call it an E. He said, you need to change your storage heaters. They're really old. He goes, you could get these new ones now that they're so good that they're really energy efficient, but they're about £1,000 a piece. You're going to need at least 2 of those. Fair enough. But what can I do about the roof? I said, obviously the roof is insulated. The roof was redone, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago. I can't remember. They surely would have put insulation in the roof. The whole building was recladded. I think it came to something like £125,000. We all had to contribute towards that cladding. Now, they wouldn't have recladded without putting in insulation. The EPC man said to me, get me any form of documentation you can for the insulation, proving insulation, and that combined with your storage heaters, I'll be able to sign it off as a C for you. But I need documentation, not just words. Now the thing is, how do you prove what insulation you've got in a property? I mean, I don't mind making a hole in my ceiling so that he could have a look. But I think he actually wants to see some form of documentation as he's requested. So I got onto the management, a company called Vision, and emailed them and said to them, I need to see proof of what insulation is in the ceiling, in the roof, and within the cladding. I need this ASAP, as will every other owner in this block, particularly the ones who are renting out. And a large majority of the flats within this block are rented out. So they're going to face the problems I'm facing. One of the problems with my flat is it's at the end of the block, and although at the end of the block is a stairwell and then the outside wall, it's classified as a semi-insulated wall, if that makes sense. The fact that there's a stairwell between my kitchen and bedroom walls, upstairs and downstairs. So you've got the kitchen downstairs, the bedroom upstairs. Beyond that is the stairwell, and then beyond that is the flank wall, which is the external side of the building. He said, had you been one of the middle flats with the high heat retention storage heaters, he probably could have got me down to a C, adding the LED lights and a few other bits and pieces here and there, would have got to a C. He says, but because you're on a flank wall, albeit yes, there's a stairwell before the flank wall, he goes, I can't do it. It won't rate that way. So while I'm waiting for my management to get back to me, I'm thinking, like the meter's ticking away here, like 1,500 quid a month is ticking away. I need to do something. I'm going to keep the place, but I do need to get it down to a C. Although I've got 2 years, I could rent it out for 2 years and get rid of it just before this new law is implemented. But I want to get it down to a C anyway. I'm doing a full refurb on it. Let's make it, it's only going to add value to the place, obviously, if I get it down to a C. The government has made us all so fixated on these energy ratings now, like it's ridiculous. So, one of the ideas that a friend of mine suggested was, why not, worst case scenario, insulate from inside the flat on that flank wall? Now that would involve me putting kingspan, maybe 50 mil, maybe 100 mil, I don't know. That would be on the inside of the bedroom wall and on the inside of the kitchen wall. And yeah, I'd lose 4 inches, great, big deal. But if he's saying the fact that I'm on the end stops me from getting a C rating, well, if I insulate it on that end from the inside, surely that should get me to a C rating. Now, I've suggested that to Mr. EPC, and he said, send me over a link to the products you're thinking of using, and I'll input it into the system and I'll let you know how it goes, if that works or not. And you know what? And if it does work, I'm just going to do it. For what more it's going to cost me, I'm just going to do it, because I don't really fancy chasing my management company or the management of the block, which is different to an estate agency management. The block management, I don't know whether they're going to find the information I'm looking for. I'm asking them for the thickness of the insulation that's already in place. It's never going to happen. So there we are. There is my little story and my dilemma. Meanwhile, let me give you a little tour of the flat and show you what I'm up to. Right, we're just inside the front door. I didn't want to film from outside because I don't want neighbours seeing me. So this is a split level flat. Up the stairs we've got 2 bedrooms and a bathroom, and then downstairs we've got kitchen, little storage cupboard here and a lounge. So kitchen, as I say, it weren't great. Tenant was happy, and I say he's paying half the rent of anyone else. But this is what this looks like. It really does need updating. It's quite a large kitchen though. There's a lot I can do with it, and I am planning on making it nice. But everything is going to need to be ripped out. Inside the storage cupboard there, a little fuse box. Nothing too much going on in there. And we've got the lounge. Again, decent size. These are big flats. Quite a basic room really, not much for me to do, although there is Artex on the ceiling, and I may need to replaster that. My least favourite job of all. The tenant has left me a nice set of sofas here which he couldn't get rid of. Reckons he paid £3 for them. Believe him, they're leather, but they're all going to go to the rubbish dump. You see the windows are blown like badly. Don't know what I'm going to do with them because this is in a block and I don't know what I'm allowed to do and what I'm not allowed to do. And there's the other side where you can see the stairs going upwards. A nice little recess there for a small dining table. Now going upstairs to the first landing. To begin with, I got this amazing bathroom with a 3-piece luxury suite, corner bath and shower unit. Wow, who wouldn't want to live like this, eh? Yeah, this is all getting ripped out right back to the walls. I'll stick a shower bath in here and a nice vanity unit, and a nice little enclosed toilet will go in there as well. Nice feature is this skylight, which brings a bit of natural light into the bathroom. Silly thing, but I like it. Right, and here we have the smaller of the 2 bedrooms. As you can see, it fits a decent sized bed in there. There'll be room in there to put some cupboards. We've got some condensation up on the wall there. I don't know why that is. A few bits and pieces here to get rid of. And the main bedroom, again, really big bedroom. I'd be happy with this size bedroom in my own house. Yeah, very big. It's got these sliding wardrobes which they're crap, they're going. I'll either put fitted wardrobes in there myself, or maybe just not have anything and let. Couple of doors here. One is a storage area, and the other side is where the hot water cylinder is. Looking out towards the window, again, all the windows are blown. There's condensation between the 2 panes on all of them. But the nice thing, if you can see beyond the windows, is it's quite a clearer window. There's a great view from here. You can see for miles, and I can imagine firework night around here would be pretty spectacular. So there you have the story of what's going on, and what my plans are for the future. 4 to 6 weeks, 4 if I'm working really hard, but realistically it's probably more like 2 months. I've got to fit a kitchen, fit a bathroom, put new flooring throughout, possibly some plastering. It's going to be a lot of tiling, the bathroom mainly. I don't know if I could do it in 4 weeks, but realistically 6 to 8 weeks for me to finish this. So what I'm going to be doing is, with this little video series, is just basically documenting what I'm doing, how I'm doing it as I go along, and I hope you guys find it interesting.